Alrighty, what we got is a Simplicity. It's a big one, $13.90. Customer said he started up, went to drive, and then he heard bang, nothing happened. And he found a mouse nest in the drive component. Everything was all locked up solid because it was all frozen. And he cleaned all that up, but unfortunately when he did that, he seems like he threw a connecting rod. So we're gonna swap this motor out. We already took the cover off. It's a couple of 10 millimeters or 3/8 bolts. You take the cover off. Probably gonna do his belts. But the first thing you gotta do is move these belt keepers out of the way. And having these rods here does exactly this. It pushes the belt up off when you let go of the tension. So when you squeeze the belt, that would tighten it, which I can't do right now because I need two hands, but that's going to drive the auger, and that's what these are for, is to keep this off here so when the motor's spinning it's not catching the belt. So you can loosen the bolt here, or sometimes you can just put a screwdriver under here and just bend them out a little bit so you can get the belt off. So we'll do that, and then there's a couple of nuts right here. There's 4 of them, 2 on this side, 2 on the other. I'm just not sure if they're fixed underneath or if I have to lift the snowblower up to get to the other side of the bolt. So we'll try those and see what it does. Yeah, so it turns out we will have to take the plate off. So it's just these 4 3/8 drive, and then up to 6. 6 of those, this huge plate will come off, and then we'll see what we can see as far as bolts are concerned for getting to the back side of that motor. Oh, there's definitely a mouse in there. You can see the remnants of the stuff he had in there, but yeah, sure enough, you got the bolts that hold the motor in. For example, there's one right there. And we got to get to the back of those. It might be easier to hold them from up top and kind of spin the nut, because obviously in this angle here, the motor's just going to fall the minute we take them out. So let's work on that. Alright, so what we did is we had the snowblower tipped forward. I got 3 of the 4 bolts out. You gotta leave one in, otherwise the motor's obviously gonna fall forward. Then I brought it back down, and then you can just reach under on the other side. I did the other bolt on the other side, and you can hold it with your hand while you loosen the nut. And then once that's off, you can see here, you pull this pulley back. This is spring loaded to keep tension on the inside belt, which is the drive belt. So I put my clamps in there. If not, you could use a bungee cord to hold this back. Somehow get this out of your way. And then if you look down in there, on this side, I don't know if you can see in there, it's easier to get the belt off the bottom pulley. There is a bottom pulley. This one here. So what I did was walk this belt off of that. It fell into the back of it, but there's a shaft right there. But what that does is it frees it up, and now you can take it and get it past all this on the outside. That's how we're going to get it off the motor. Okay? There you go. And then once that's outside of that belt loop, we can lift the motor off and take it off. Then from there, I have to switch these pulleys over to the new motor. So once we get the motor off, we'll work on that. See if this puller will get in there. Looks like it might. I'm gonna have to apply some heat to that one. Alright, it took a little bit of heat. There we go. That definitely took some heat. Alright, now we just need to get it on to the new engine. Just might put some emery cloth on this. I'll probably sandpaper this a little bit too. It's still hot. This is a little rustier than I thought. I'm going to actually hit this with the wire wheel. It wasn't too difficult to compress, get the bolt started. Right. Yeah, there's no oil as we figured. We usually don't ship it with the oil. I'm gonna run some conventional oil, you know, so the motor does its braking. Let that settle down in there a little bit, and then give it a check. Make sure it goes all the way down. And then you want to look. It's basically right at the full mark. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right there. I could add a teeny bit more oil, but that's where you want it, right where the mark is that says the arrows on either side. You want it at the top. Put in a teeny bit more, but it didn't take a full quart. But pretty much a full, that's basically almost done. You can check it again after we run it. Alright, that's basically it. It looks like now we just need to get it back into the snowblower. Alright, I got one of the new belts in, the dry belt. It's a real pain in the ass. It's pretty tough to videotape it because it's tight in there. But what you want to do, like we had before, was have this all the way back as far as you can get it. And the engine's not bolted in, that way you can move it around. I even slipped a screwdriver onto the back of it so it tilted it forward. And then with all that done, you got to get long screwdrivers and push the belt onto the pulley, get it 3/4 of the way around. And what I did was reach underneath, pull the belt down over the big pulley, got it on as far as I can, and while I held it, I turned this by hand slowly to walk the belt on. So what you want to do is put the belt in there like we had before, not on the big pulley. Get it on this one first. It makes it easier, believe it or not. And then to get the pulley in and out, there's a gap in there that you can't see. It's between the drive pulley and the auger pulley. They're real close together. But if you pull the lever for the drive, that actually pulls the drive pulley back, and it gives you just enough room to squeeze the belt through. That's how you get it out. Let me see if we can see it from over here any better. Probably not. Let's see. That's pretty tight in there. Yeah, you see how the belt is on that one pulley and then the small gap between the dry pulley and the auger pulley. When you pull the lever on the handlebars, it actually takes that pulley and it moves it in. I might be able to do it in here. Check this out. See how it does that? That is just enough room for you to get the belt by the knuckle down there, the shaft. And I'm going to do the same thing when I get the auger belt out too. So that's how I fished it down there. It's not easy, but at least with the engine unbolted in this case, if you're not replacing your motor, it'll be a little tighter. But that's how we got that in. So the engine's in. I don't have the other belt yet, so let's at least bolt the motor in. And we're going to do that, like we said earlier. Just line these up I'm going to hold the bolt in from the bottom and start screwing it in. So let's get to work on that. What you're going to do, once you get one in there, is not tighten them down, because that's going to make it more difficult for you to put the other ones in. So you leave it a little loose. And then I always WD-40 all the bolts, because they'll thread together easier and not fight you. Okay. The other two are a bit tough to reach underneath and get. So what I'll do now that I get those two in is tilt the whole motor forward. Alright, it's bolted in. And then now what we have to do is a little bit of wiring. So this, the original one was on a voltage regulator or a DC converter. This one doesn't have it, but it does have this. So that's obviously positive and negative. So I got to wire the red to this in order to get the motor to work for the chute and his light. So let me figure that out. And then I'm in a standstill until I get the other belt for tomorrow. So that's where we are. It's bolted up. Could try to start it. But let me get the wiring done and we'll go from there. Alright, so we got the new belt in, and I'm going to sneak it down there. Getting the old one out was a little tough. I ended up actually taking the bolts out like I was going to separate the case. But then I noticed that they have this metal bracing down here. It actually stops the case from going forward. I didn't even look up how to do it, but what happens is if you take this one out on either side, loosen that one down the bottom, it actually falls forward just enough where the belt sneaks out past the sprocket down there. So I was able to get it out. So I'll sneak it back in there. And then this here is worked back and forth with the lever. You got to do that because it's got a pulley brake on it down there, and that's up when this is in the out position, it's up against a pulley. So you got to actually push it in. You can do that by holding the handle down. So let me get the new belt in there.